Professor Noam Chomsky. You are the leading voice of religion, dissent, and progressive activism that has inspired the world in unparalleled manner. You have steered the conscience of the youth to imagine beyond borders, to agitate with a purpose, to remain educated, equipped with access to your years of immaculate truth-seeking efforts, and inspired they are by your great acts of legitimately challenging the mightiest of ruling class forces with invincible moral courage. Thank you for giving us at Kindle Magazine the opportunity to interview you today about a few burning issues affecting the world and in India in particular. Professor, where do you locate the contours of the current crisis in Egypt, Tunisia, and rest of the Middle East? Do you foresee a similar uprising in India? And what do you think is holding India back?
The source of the crises in the Arab world goes back very far, and it's similar to what we find in most of the South, the formerly colonized world. Actually, it was expressed rather clearly in the 1950s by President Eisenhower, U.S. President Eisenhower, and his staff. President Eisenhower, these are in internal discussions which have been declassified since. Eisenhower asked his staff why there is what he called a campaign of hatred against us in the Arab world, and not among the governments, which are more or less docile, but among the people. And the National Security Council, which is the major planning body, produced a memorandum on this topic. It said that there's a perception in the Arab world that the United States supports harsh, vicious dictators, blocks democracy and development, and we do this because we want to maintain control over their resources, in this case energy. And it went on to say that the perception is fairly accurate, and furthermore that that's what we should be doing. The basic principle, which it holds not just for the Arab world, was expressed rather succinctly during the period of the recent spectacular uprising in Egypt by Marwan Muasher. He's a former high Jordanian official who's now the head of research in the Middle East for the Carnegie Endowment. He said there's a prevailing doctrine, which is that as long as people are quiet, passive, controlled, there's no problem. We do whatever we like. Maybe they hate us, but it doesn't matter because we can do what we like. That's a principle that holds in the Arab world, in India, and it holds domestically in the United States. It's a standard principle of domination. Of course, sometimes the people break their chains, and then you have to make adjustments. What's happening in Egypt right now is a dramatic but not untypical example. There's been case after case where the United States and other imperial powers before it have been compelled to abandon support for a favored dictator because he could no longer be sustained. So there's a standard game plan now being applied in Egypt. You support the dictator as long as possible, adopting the Muasher doctrine. Everything's quiet, so no problem. When the dictator can no longer be sustained, you sort of push him aside, issue ringing proclamations of your love for democracy and freedom, and proceed to try to reestablish as much as you can of the former system. And that's what we see happening right now in Egypt. And as I say, it happens over and over again.